Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Glass Man's world. So, I figured the last few days I've been working on these really cool galaxy glass pendants. We started with working on a mushroom one, which I then, let's see if I can find that one. And then we put a little spiral on the back, and then I decided to do one without the mushroom, and then I think that one became either this one or this one here. So then we had some really nice ones there. Here, let me see if I can get this glass to move over just a little bit better. Get a little bit better lighting here. And then started to just play with the spiral, try to make it a little bit tighter and a little bit better. And I came up with these ones here. And then made this really large one and tried to mimic the way that they would some glass artists or lamp workers. What we do is we're torch workers. This is a torch, also known as a lamp. We're known as lamp workers. This is lamp working in glass or glass blowing. Someone mentioned today how I posted up something. They're like, those aren't hand blown. Those are lamp worked. I'm like, yeah, but most people don't even know the term lamp worked and lamp working. If you say lamp work, they'll think you're making lamps. But this is one that I tried to mimic the way it would look if you put opals on the inside and had them look like it was a spiral of planets going into like a vortex or a black hole or something. And then this one here was kind of an offset. This one came out pretty cool. I thought that one came out really cool. It's got the spiral coming down on the bottom there. And I'm not really sure how it got off centered like that, but I thought that one came out cool. And then I decided, let's go on ahead and do one with an opal and actually encase it in there. I don't have too many opals to really play with, so it was like, this has got to be a one-off. I can't really mess this up. I can't, also doing this live. I think I did this live. I don't know if I did this live, actually. I think I made this one live. So this is a reveal right now of this one here. So this one I put actual opal, and I used the ghost white, which is a very translucent, really cool white. It actually came out a lot darker than I was expecting. Being how thin I was drawing the line, I'm like, wow, that came out pretty good. So I'm wondering if I could actually make these lines even thinner to really make these super ghosted out. So we're gonna try to actually do that and stretch this out some. But this is the opal right here, guys. And I don't know if you can actually see the shimmer and the shine in that opal there. I don't know if I can really change the lighting on it to make it any different there. But yeah, that's a beautiful piece there with the opal. So, yeah, I'll come help you in a sec. So, we'll get started here in just a moment. We're gonna get some of that ghost white, and we'll get some of the 16 millimeter rod. We'll get that all melted. Let's make sure that the kiln is on. That's all fired up and ready. Okay. That's all fired up and ready. All right, let me go help my son real quick. He's using the restroom. So give me just one moment here. All right, sorry about that wait. What's up, Austin? I see you're here. So I am live. We are live right now, and we're about to get started here. I had to go help my son real quick. So we are about to work on some really cool galaxy pieces. So I was showing some of these off from the other day. This one is a mimicked version of, I don't know if you've seen those ones where they put the opals inside. These are some really simple, basic ones that I'm trying to make these real quick and easy. Little $20 pendants. These ones don't have any of the planets or anything. So I've just been playing with putting planets in there and stuff. The other day, I was able to actually set an opal inside there. Let's see if I can get it to shimmer at all. I don't know if I can get that lighting to be any better there. But yeah, opals. So we got the kiln going right there. I think you can see a little bit of that shimmer and shine in it. It doesn't really move around too much, I guess, in the... I mean, I can see like a bunch of reds and stuff in there. Maybe the lighting is too much. I don't know. I think it came out pretty cool there. Alright, so we're going to work on some of these. And I have a couple more of the opal, so we may play with that as well. But what I wanted to do, hopefully I've got some gold here. Alright, I don't know if I have my snips here. Yeah. Okay, but I do got some silver. And I got a little bit of gold here. I wonder if I have any other chunks of gold somewhere. It's a nice chain, huh? Anyway, I'm gonna chop it up. That's some silver right there. Just in case I run out of silver, I might just melt some of that down. Alright, I don't know if I have any more gold. I thought I had a... thought I had a little bit more gold than that. Alright, that'll work. That'll do, pig, that'll do. So we're gonna try to do some fuming techniques as well here, which I haven't done in a while. Got a little silver, a little gold. I got that silver right there. Alright, let's see if I can find some snips here. Something. And I can use these big old hunkers here. I can at least bend some of it off. Let's see if I can actually do this here. There we go. A little chunk of gold there. Alright. I'll get a chunk of silver here. What I'm doing is I'm just getting my big old pliers here, and then I'm just wiggling it back and forth like this until it just breaks off. There's another chunk right there. I don't know where my snips are. Hey, what's going on, Pro Cannabis? Glad I see you. I just woke up. It's 1:30 at night. Oh my gosh. So it's early in the morning or late night right now? That's interesting. I'm here in New Mexico. It is only 5 o'clock in the evening. The sun just set right now. All right, so I need to get some pieces here. Okay, that'll work. Man, my office chair keeps messing with me. I don't know if you guys ever had one of those office chairs where it loses the pressure and it just like starts sinking down on you. Okay. So we got this. This is the silver chunk right here, the silver puntee. And I got another piece of glass right here for the gold. So we'll pick up the silver first. And I don't know exactly how I want to fume this piece yet. Silver gold or gold and silver. What we might do is just put a little gold on one side, a little silver on the other, and then play with it like that. Oops. Here, let's go a little hotter. Uh-oh. Come on. It's not picking up. There it is. All right. All right, we'll go with this one here. We'll heat this up and get it, we'll preheat it. And then I'll flash it. I think what I'm going to do is flash it on just one side with silver and then do the opposite side with gold. And then wherever they overlap, there should be some really cool color combos within it. And then we're going to put some lines of clear glass on it. And I don't know how many lines. Don't really need too many for these galaxy pendants. So what this is this is going to be like little lines of fume in the glass that'll then let's make sure I go on just one side here. So heat up the silver, allow it to get to where it gets nice and hot, starts to get that fuming, and then you just go on one side. We'll fume it just like that. Bam. So then we got a little bit of fume on one side, clear there. All that fume right there, that's all silver, basically. Now we'll get this other piece of glass here all nice and hot. And we'll attach the gold to this here. So how you guys been doing, Austin? Pro Cannabis, how's your day been? Thank you for tuning in once again. Oh my gosh, you got woken up about a monster. You better check under the bed and the closets and everywhere. I got a 6-year-old as well. I understand all of that. Right now, he's chilling watching some of America's Funniest Videos. All right, so now let's see if we can get it on this side here, away from the, and the gold's got to be a little bit hotter, a little bit more intense flame. And I don't know if this is the most cleanest, purest gold, so we'll see if it even works for me. There we go. And we'll see what kind of metal that puts on. I don't know if it's got some other types of metal as well, but I know it's not the cleanest gold on there. So now we're just gonna bring the flame back down to more of a reduction flame, a little bit more propane and oxygen. We're just gonna heat up all that fume on there. I really wish I had I don't know where that little piece of gold I have. I have a little wire of gold somewhere. You know, I'm wondering is if I accidentally just knocked it off my table one day when I was cleaning, like, oh man, I had a piece of gold, I think, right on my table here. I must have put it somewhere else, I don't know. All right, so we're gonna heat this up to the glass, and then we're gonna add some clear to it. Been under the weather for a few days trying to get back, huh? Yeah, so I'm doing opposite sides of this rod here. So silver on one side, gold on the other. And where they overlap, there should be some nice colors to it. You got a Bethlehem Bravo, huh? On the way. Nice. Congratulations. That is sweet. And you're getting a pedal. I've never used a pedal. I probably should. But I've never used one. All right. We're also going to add a little bit of the Ghost White here. Thinking I'll just do like 2 lines of Ghost White in it. Something like that. And then we just go with some of these lines here of clear. Let's go with the clear rod here, clear rod here. I don't know if I should do anything else. Maybe, like, I don't want to do too much. Here, maybe we'll do these lines closer to each other and then leave the other ones a little spaced out. Try to get some dimension or space in between here. So I put more of the clear lines onto one side and then left it kind of open on the other. I don't know. We'll see what that does. That Ghost White is awesome, right? Oh, you got some from Mountain Glass? Sweet. You've been working with some frit and color rods to do trade. That's pretty cool. All right, so what I'm gonna do is we're just gonna spiral this up. And then this is going to be a rod that we're just going to use for the backing of the Galaxy glass. I don't know how this is going to look. You know, a lot of these I've just been doing one at a time, just doing the lines on each one. So I don't know if this is going to create like a double helix kind of pattern, which might look really cool, and it might mess things up. So we'll see how this works. Here, let me get that a little bit straighter here. A little bit more center. So I'll put most of the heat towards this back end, the thicker side of the pattern and design. That way we can get this side of it more spun up than the rest. We don't really want to get the tip too tight of a spin there. I want to keep it open, keep it kind of gradual, I guess. And I think I'm going to go hot so I can burn away a lot of that fume. And that way I only keep what's underneath the clear glass there. We're going to try to go really hot here. And just burn it away. Might go even hotter here. And try to burn it all away. And that way we can just be left with what's underneath it. And then we're just going to let this whole rod just spiral up. We're going to keep it kind of thick, starting with the 16 millimeter rod here. So this is the production, the pre-fab work here on what needs to be done in order to create just the spiral within the galaxy of these glass pendants. A lot of people make marbles with these, which maybe we'll make a marble at some point. Marbles are pretty sweet. I haven't made any marbles in a while for sale. But I always have my my trophy for winning a marble race with the Borough Marble League. When was that? Like was it a year or two ago? I don't remember exactly what year it was, but I won second place in the Borough Marble League, which was really cool. First time I ever entered and got second place. We had to make our own marbles at like 15 millimeter. I think they had to be between like 14 and a half and 16 and a half. Couldn't exceed 17 or something like that. That way they could fit in their in the ramp, in the track perimeters. And the race that I did was the overall race at the end, where we had to go, we had to win each race, first, second, third place, in order to advance to the next race. And there were 4 races total. So I had to win first, second, or third place in those first 3 races, and then the last race I got second place overall, which is really cool. All right. So I got this all nice and melted down all the way to the tip. That clear came through really nicely. Those lines came through really good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch this a little bit. And that way we just have a little bit more to work with. Nice. So let me show you what I'm doing here. So as you can see, those lines are like really, really like translucent and barely there, and you can see through it quite a bit. So that's all done on all that fume work, and then get it to spiral like this here. I'm going to really, really spin this up here. Some of those colors are thick. The lines are thick. And I really want them to thin out. So we're just going to spin it up nice and tight. I'll probably pull off some of this here at the end. Ah, this rod is hot too because it's so short. Alright, and let's see if I can get this to get straight again here. It's a little bit crooked. I'll just heat it up in the center of it, then go to the outsides of it. Cool. And then just let the heat set it up. Bam. Alright, that looks good. Alright, so there goes the rod right there. So now we can utilize this. I'm going to pull some of this off the tip here. I'll let this rod kind of cool down some. All right. I'm going to move these balloons out of the way. That way we don't have any accidents with these. These are already sold and they need to be delivered. Oh, I'm missing all kinds of conversation here. The Sharp Flame version, no pedal yet. Love me some Ghost White. Picked up a bunch last night. Seen it on the seconds list at Mountain Glass. That's awesome. Been working for some... Oh, I already read that. Been working with some of the big names to get frit and color rods. When I see glass under 30 pounds, $30 a pound, I strike. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a great deal. When the colored glass... Yeah, definitely. It's usually what, $60 a pound, and clear glass is like $6 a pound or something. Doing landscape for glass, that's awesome. That's what I do. All right, and you're not allowed to resell because of the big name, huh? Okay, that's interesting. Well, good luck with all that, working with them. We're gonna play with this and just see how it looks right now. Uh, right? Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna just get some clear glass here. We're gonna put a little bit of that onto it, and then push some blue to it, and then that'll be the back side, and this will be the front here. So this clear glass will be the lens. So if I wanted to add any sort of planets or anything like that in front of the vortex or the universe part, the spiral, then I would add them here. If I wanted to add the opal, I would add it here as well. Like, might as well. Let's do it again. Well, hold on. Before we get into that, let's make sure we like the way this background looks. Here, we'll add a couple little dots of okay, there's a couple little tiny dots of color there. Some double Mai Tai and some of the ghost white. Just on the front of that there, we're going to just round them down, get them to sink in. Those are going to be kind of like the little hidden planets within there. And I'll get that flattened just a little bit, just to prepare the slate and get it flat just a little bit, not too big. That way we don't have to widen it out with all the blue and everything, because that takes a while. All right, now we're going to add this all that color that we were just working on, that cane, and hopefully we can get this to just lay on there real nicely and create a little vortex in there. I wonder, should I snap it off? And it'll have that back. I'll just rip it off like that. And then the next one will actually have an open hollow center to it. That'll be pretty cool. Heat this up, we'll mash it down some. Try to flatten it towards the center. And then we'll add some cobalt blue on the back of this one. Alright, now that's all flattened. And we'll get the cobalt. And we'll heat up the cobalt and we'll just mash that right onto the tip there. So this is about an inch, maybe a little less on the diameter right now. 25 millimeter, somewhere around there, I'm guessing. Maybe 22, maybe a little smaller. So we'll get this cobalt really molten. And we'll just stick it to the back side here, right in the center. Push it on, and then the more you push it, you want to try to just let it uh, spread itself out towards the edges of that rod. And we'll flame cut it, so we'll just go up on the rod, away from that big old chunk we just added there. Pull it a little bit, slowly just do a little twist at the end so you don't get any stringer. Rest that down. And we can melt all that blue glass down. We'll flatten it on the pad on the table here. Will help to get all that blue to mash out to the edges. And this is when the width of the pendant really comes in. And at this point, you can try to keep it at 1 inch or less, like it is, or you can make it really widen out at this point. I'm going to use a paddle here, and we'll just mash it down, control it to get it to the edges there. So you can't see what I'm doing, but as I'm pushing it, I'm noticing if I need the blue to come this way, I'll use a little more force like this. But when I'm pushing it, you can't see, but I might like do a little bit of this and push it over some. Alright, so now I'll get this all molten. We'll get rid of the ridges that are on the edges here. And I don't know how many of these I'm going to make. I'll have to go check on my son here again. My wife's in the other room. She's just resting right now. But she's still recovering from her surgery, so she can't really like get up and like be with him for the moment right now. Alright, so this is all getting to that point where it's all molten. The ridge, that edge is getting all sunk in nicely. There's one little spot I can see there's like a divot. I'm just waiting for that to sink in. And then we'll mash this down on the table on the pad here. There we go. And then one thing about these galaxy pendants is if you have any sort of air bubbles, or like you could actually force air bubbles into it to create a little bit more, I guess, detail within the galaxy there. So now it's a lot wider. It's spread out some. We can get our punchy here now. And we can get it off the rod. That's a punchy, or this a punchy? And just try to get that punchy in the center there. Attach it, spin it, straighten out your punchy. Get it into the front of your pendant there where all the clear glass is, so you can flame cut it off the rod. And you want to focus it right where the thick part of the pendant and the rod is, right where it attaches to each other there. Oh my gosh, that was interesting. I heard my son as that alarm went. That was weird. I don't know if he like laughed or what. That was interesting. Okay. And then this big old chunk of clear glass here. So we're going to get that pulled off and we'll round the front. We'll add the loop onto it. We'll take a look at how it looks. This one may not look as great because it's not the part of the spiral that's really like spun around and everything. But this should look cool and it should give us some sort of a universe or something within there, a galaxy, a nebula of some sort. And you can see the little dots on there. This is kind of like the little planets that are being mimicked. Got to make sure to put those more in the center of the rod so they don't get out to the edge too much. I noticed that. You definitely got to put those more in the center. Real tiny and really close together. Alright, and then you just hold the heat there until it gets nice and rounded. So you just want to be real patient with it. Allow the heat, allow the torch to do all your work here. Just keep the spin nice and consistent. Don't let the piece get away from you. You can always take it out of the flame if it starts to get away from you. Alright, when I got that nice and round, I always allow it to then fall back down onto itself, and I'll use the paddle here to kind of guide it. Just like that. And we'll get our cobalt here for the loop. And as we're heating up the cobalt, we're going to allow this to kind of cool down some, and we're going to be able to see some of that nebula and what it really looks like there. And that looks cool. That looks really cool, actually. So even though it's the first one there, that one came out pretty cool. And I'll just heat up this chunk of cobalt here. We'll attach it to where I feel the top should be on the pendant. So I just decide that on my own there, figure out, okay, I'd like that spot there. And then we just attach it. And then at this point, I can either take off the punchy and then reattach it to the bottom, or I can just work the loop on its side. But if you're a novice or beginner, then it's hard to keep the loop straight when you're working at it sideways. So I would recommend changing the axis point of your punchy and bringing it all around and putting a punchy back on the bottom of the pendant to finish it off. Or you just try to learn how to do it like this. Do it all in one motion. Try not to get the heat on the punchy on the backside. Try not to allow it to fall in the wrong direction, keeping it nice and straight, keeping track of all the different angles. I'll open up the loop, figure out what side needs more of the pressure so we can push it over some if it's a little bit angled to one way or the other. And then that's a done deal right there. Let's see if I can get this light on here a little bit better. Yeah, I think that came out pretty cool. You see a little bit of those dots in there, those little planets, I guess. So these are the ones that I'm trying to just make for 20 bucks, 2 for 30. You know, all my $20 items, I keep 2 for 30. Try to keep all my jewelry really affordable. Alright, and then we'll drop that in the kiln there. Well, that's a done pendant right there. And it's got some sort of a nebula inside of there. But we'll do the reveal tomorrow. We'll see what these look like. And you can kind of see it. Alright, let's see what we could do with this next one. Now that I opened up the center of the nebula. That kiln is hot too. It should look a lot better now. We'll do the same thing. We'll start with the clear, and then we'll push that spiral, the fumed glass, the spiral and the fumed glass here, the twisted cane, right onto here. We'll add a couple little dots to represent some planets again. Just real simple little dots. So we'll just round this up here. I'll try to add these dots on the tip instead of all the way around like the rim or the edge of it here. Okay, we'll go with the dark multi here. So it's a bigger one, a little one, and then that ghost white again. And go small with the ghost white also. And we'll just sink those in. And flatten it out a little bit. Hopefully those planets are right there on the top of it instead of towards the edge. Alright, this one is now open, so there should be clear glass going all the way through. So I should be able to snap this one off, and it should create like a really cool little vortex. I just push that on there, right in the center, just like that. Heat it up some, so we can kind of bend it a little bit, and then we're going to snap it off again. We're going to do that same thing. That one came out kind of big. That's a big chunk of it, but we'll see how that works. I'll just flatten it out and we'll try to open it up, keep that clear nebula hole. So it'll look like a, kind of like a black hole there. Like the eye of the storm, you know? I don't know if you can see that or not. I'll melt that down. That should give some really cool lines going around. Some sort of like a galaxy spiral or vortex. That should look really cool. Alright, now we'll just flatten that. Add the cobalt. See, in these ones, I'm able to get them made pretty quickly to where I should be able to keep these at a good price. And then when I do the opals, they're going to be like $50 to $80 when I add the opals in them. But these ones will be $20. And I think adding opals at 50 to 80 bucks is about the going rate online when I check eBay and places like that. I still can't find too many other people. I only found one other person in Canada who's making the amanita mushrooms. I still can't find anyone. If you guys can find anyone online who makes amanita mushrooms with the dots on them like I do, please let me know. Send me a link in the comments. I know you can't really put like the actual HTML link itself, but if you can like maybe give me a name of where to search or something like that, I could try to find it, because I cannot find any other glass amanita mushrooms online besides the ones that I make and the guy in Canada. Alright, so then we'll heat up this cobalt again. We'll flatten it. And then I'm going to go check on my son real quick, make sure he's doing alright. Make sure that there's still something on that's good for him to watch. Sometimes the shows change. We just got regular like TV broadcasts, so it's just America's Funniest Videos on right now. Oh, and then I hear the kitties, I think. Alright, then we just go around the edge here, heat it up, get that rim all sunk in together, the cobalt with the clear glass, so it all looks like one piece. And then we'll mash it down on the pad here on the table. And not mash it too hard. Just to help bring it all together as one. And then I'll go around the rim like that and spin it as I flatten it to make sure it's nice and flat. We'll get our punchy again. Flame cut it in the front. I get that punchy center there. Get in the front of the pendant. Get to the point where we can flame cut this off. And I can see one of those chunks in there. The nebula, I'm like, I don't know. When I make them by hand, each one individual, it might actually be better that way. Alright, we'll flame cut this off here. Get our tweezers. I'll just pull off a big chunk of this here. But we'll leave enough to make sure that it can all melt down and round down. So right now it looks like this here. And then we'll melt that whole front tip, get it all nice and round. So we'll keep the flame right on that tip and then bring the flame into the body, the rest of the clear part on the top of this pendant here as we're spinning it around constantly. Make sure not to touch it to the torch. You don't want to accidentally touch the molten glass to the torch and create little bumps or divots, or accidentally get molten glass to the tip of your torch and accidentally sink it in, and you can block the portholes and stuff. It could be dangerous if you do that. Alright, I do see 2 planets in there, and I do think I see the clear or the ghost white in there as well, which should pop out a little bit. So that'll be interesting to see how those look. And that looks really nice and rounded there. And then we'll get our paddle here, get underneath it, spin it, hold it to where it can kind of fall down onto the punchy. But then you want to just hold it flat like that. And then I'll look at it, I'll see. Which way do I want the top? I think that'll be the top there. Alright, and I'll get this molten here. Get the cobalt molten. We'll attach them both together. Just go directly up, push up on it, then pull. And that allows them to really, really connect together in a nice, smooth way. And then just heat up some of that cobalt rod. Bend it towards the front of your pendant. Pull it that way. Bring it back around. Attach it there. That's how I do it sideways. So then it's all attached like that. And then the trick is keeping it nice and straight while you're working with it in an angle. So you always got to counteract the angle of it and which way it's naturally trying to fall. Nice. All right, I'm gonna go check on my son, make sure he's okay. I may have to let you guys go, but we'll see if he's all right first, and then I might do one more here. And if so, then we may do one with a an opal in here if I think this one looks all right. Okay. And then I don't know if that's an air bubble or if that's the actual color of the planet there on this side. It's right there, but I think that's the planet. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it's looking okay, but not what I'm going for. All right, let me go check on him real quick. I'll be right back. All right, he's okay. He's good. He's still watching the funny videos. All right, so I don't like the way that spiral looks. I think I want to actually like kind of bring it in and not have it do that. Oh, I don't know if I want to do the opal or not. So I don't know if I'm gonna like it. But I think bringing that spiral in tighter like that is gonna make it look better. All right, so we're gonna do this again. But do we want to do the opal? If we're doing the opal's going on right here. Right in front of this one. Let's do it. We'll do the opal. All right, here we go. So usually you would want to have your opal preheated in the kiln, which I didn't do. So what we're gonna do instead is just heat this up nicely, get this all prepared. And then we're just gonna flash this in the flame, and we're just gonna wait until it gets hot. So the flame looks blue when it's going through right now, and eventually when the glass gets warmer, it'll start to get like, it'll start to warm up and start to get orange on me. It's orange in the back end where that other piece of glass is, but not right here in the front. And I don't want to put it in too fast because it could pop. I don't want it to pop on my lap or anywhere. So we gotta just be patient with it. And then we can go a little bit slower, allow it to get that heat in there. It's not popping or cracking. I'm not hearing anything like that yet. That's good. Now it's taking in that heat. Now I think I can really slowly get it in that flame there. There we go. Alright. I got it all pre-warmed. So that's how you can pre-warm it like that. And then we'll just get this molten. I'll gather this round here. We'll attach this opal to it. Alright, I got that opal attached to it there. Now we're going to cut it off from the front. Leave a big chunk of clear glass. Try to get all that air bubble out, and as we pull this off, so we don't have any air. There we go. Nice. So now we got a lot of clear glass on that opal. That's going to create a lot of nice depth between the galaxy vortex and the front, which will be on this side here when we eventually cut it off. So the tip of this is the back side of the pendant. That's where it'll all be flat. So we got that opal in there now. It looks good. Looks nice. We'll gather this up some. It's got a nice shimmer on that opal in there. There we go. So now that opal's in there, so then we're gonna attach the vortex, and this is where there's no coming back at this point. We're just gonna do it and make it happen, and if we don't like it, then oh well. But hopefully we love it, and whoever's gonna purchase it is gonna really love it. Alright, so we just go directly to the tip of it, just like that. Flatten that out. Get that vortex to really come out like that. And then we'll just pull it off. And hopefully that looks good. I don't know. Well, we're gonna find out soon enough. Let me twist this off and pull that. That way that's ready for the next one, all nice and clean. And then this will be the last one, guys. My son wants me to go out there and hang out with him. So I'm gonna let you guys go after this. But thank you so much for tuning in and watching. We're at 75 minutes, so we've been over an hour anyways, which is usually what I try to do, is about an hour live video, live stream. Alright, so then we'll get this nice and flattened here. And it's just going to have that one planet, that one opal in the back there. Okay, then we'll get the cobalt. Alright, so that's 3 of them in about 75 minutes. So about 25-30 minutes each on these. Not too bad. I'll have to watch the video and really see how long these are actually taking me. Oh, and then also we did the ribbon cane too. So these are actually probably 15 minutes. Alright, so then we get this cobalt all nice and molten. And we just mash it on there, force it, push it out to where it reaches that outer edge there, as close as you can. If you get it molten enough, it will spread out like that. And then just heat it up, leave a chunk, so then when you push that down, it'll mash and spread out again. And we just focus our heat on this, the cobalt here. Yeah, the opal should be pre-warmed, but I didn't have it pre-warmed at all. It came straight out of this little Ziploc baggie over here on the side. And not warm at all, just straight from the table. Alright, so then I mash this down again. Being careful to make sure it's spreading out evenly on all edges. So it's not coming too thick or too wide on one side, pushing over too much on one side and the other, becoming all lopsided. So then you just heat up that backing there. I love working with cobalt as my background, and even cobalt as just like a solid pendant is really nice. We can even do that. We could do some cobalt pendants with just the opals in it. Those look really nice. Alright, then we just heat that up. And we'll mash that down on the table here. And then I always go in, make sure it's nice and flat, nice and straight. Grab the punchy, punny it up, flame cut it off the front. Usually I clean up my punchies every time, but I've been working with the same backing, all just cobalt blue. So if there's any blue that's going on these, it's not going to like be noticeable at all. So I'm not too concerned about any of that. I do believe that this is a better spiral. We'll see. You know, I've seen some amazing spirals where it's just some real thin stringers, man. I'm like, how did they do that? And that's what I'm trying to get, those super thin line stringers. That's what I'm trying to go for. These real thin nebulas. I don't know how thin. I gotta pull them, stretch them, twist them. Hey, love, I'm almost done here. Okay, my wife is up. She's actually more mobile, which is awesome. Oh, let me get the kiln back up. And bring that back up to temperature here. Ooh, this looks awesome with that opal. That opal just got that nice shimmer and shine in there. And then the nebula looks cool. I gotta round that out still, but you can see that opal in there. And then that nebula on the outside, that looks nice. Alright, so I'll just heat up the tip here. And then after this, we'll get the loop on. And then I'm going to let you guys go, guys. It's time to cook some dinner. But that's how you do the opals, guys. Usually to make these opals are pre-bought. They're pre-purchased. I purchased them from another local glass artist. And basically all you do is you get a like 9.5 millimeter, 9 millimeter tubing. You drop the raw opals. Like these little tiny things here in the baggies. There's 2 of them in there. You drop one of them inside the tube, and then you just hold the tubing downward, and you just start heating up the very bottom of it, and then that glass will just start to form and gather around the opal, and then just will form all the way completely around it, engulf it, encase it, and then you got an opal all surrounded in glass. And if you do that properly, you won't trap any air bubbles. So you have to learn how to do that precisely in order to really make some real nice encased opals. So, you know, when I purchased them from someone else, they had to be really nice. They couldn't be full of air bubbles and stuff. Oh yeah, and then we go underneath again. Just holding that paddle there to just allow it to kind of like lay flat. And then we'll go to the cobalt once again. Figure out where you want it to be. Do you want that opal? I think I want that opal to be more towards the bottom of it than the top. So I'm going to put it right there on that bottom. We'll put the top on the opposite side of the opal right there like that. And like I said, there's no going back on this. I do wish that spiral came in a little bit tighter to the center. I don't know why it's not in the center, because I thought that I brought it all into the center, but it is what it is. Alright, so now we just attach that directly to the bottom there. Push it up into it, pull it back down. That creates a nice attachment. And then just heat it up, going all the way around it, pulling it towards the front of the pendant, heating up more of that glass from the rod there, bringing it around to the back, attaching it. just make sure it's all nice and thick and straight, and heat up this backside just a little bit, just to get it a little better, a little bit stronger there. Just make sure it's nice and straight in all directions, especially being that this has that opal in there. We really want to make sure that the loop looks good on this. You know, you don't want to put an opal in here and then have a jacked up loop on it. You really want to take the time, the energy to really make this whole thing look nice all the way through. All right. And I think we're done here. All right, and there we go. That's the last one for this video here, guys. I appreciate you coming in and watching how it's made. Galaxy Glass Jewelry. That one's one with the beautiful opal inside there. I don't know if you can see that shimmer and sparkle. That's a $50 one there if anyone is interested, plus shipping. And just take off that backside. Make sure we clean up the punchy, get rid of that punchy mark there. Get rid of any of the heat rings from the tooling, from the pads and paddles that touch the backside of this. So when you're doing the punchy, then this is your opportunity to really, really clean up that backside and get rid of any tool marks or any of those heat rings from when you're mashing it down up against the pad and the paddle. All right. And there you have it, guys. That's the finished pendant there. Galaxy Glass pendant with the opal inside. I appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. Once again, thank you, Austin. And thank you, Pro Cannabis Warrior, for coming in. I don't know if anyone else tuned in. I don't believe so, but I appreciate y'all. You guys come in quite often, so I appreciate that. All right, let's get this in the kiln. Ooh, that's hot. So yeah, these opals, basically, I've got a bunch of them all pre-made like this, and the one that I used was off of a stem, off of a tube like this here, and I only got one more on the stem like this. The other ones I gotta preheat and put them on somehow, or I don't know how I'm gonna reheat those. Gonna grab them with the tweezers, I guess, and just like put them in the flame. But yeah, they start out just like that. I mean, they're right in the bag, so they're not pre-warmed at all. Just right off the table. All right, I appreciate you tuning in and watching. I'm Dan the Glassman. This is the Glassman's World. That's how you make it. Galaxy Glass. We'll be setting up for the new market tomorrow at Curious Toast here in Albuquerque. So if you're local, come check us out down on Central Avenue between 7th and 8th Street. All right, I gotta go. Time for dinner. Love and blessings. You guys have a good evening or a good morning. I guess it's early in the morning in some parts in this world. All right, I'm out. Laters.